So yoga and stretch this morning. We're going to start standing up at the edge of our mats facing the short edge. Is everybody okay? Any new aches, pains, injuries or anything before we get started?
Nope.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, so feet shoulder width apart. Just have a shuffle around on your feet. Find a really nice, comfortable place to stand. Good. Feel the ground through your heels, along the outside edges of your feet, through the balls of your feet, and then through all of your toes. And just slowly lift up one arm, stretching up as high as you can. Pull down and swap over, back up to the other one. So you're just reaching very slightly over across the centre line as that arm comes up, stretching through the sides. Good. And then as you start to wake up, just stretch a little bit further, reaching across that centre line side to side. A little bit more every time you reach up. Good. One more on each side. Big stretches. And then both hands up to the top. Arms come wide out to the side, down to your hips. Bend your knees and fold forward, fingertips falling down towards the floor. Don't worry if you don't touch the floor quite yet. You're pushing your hips backwards, bending your knees. Good. And you should feel a stretch up the backs of your legs. And just see if you can extend the crown of your head towards the wall in front of you. So you're making a nice straight line from your hips all the way through your back, your shoulders, your neck, and out through your head. Good. Big deep breath. Bend your knees. Fold your chest down towards your knees. Don't worry if you can't reach it. So your chin's tucked in, looking down between those legs. And then big breath in. Come up. Straighten those legs a little bit onto your fingertips. Good. Couple more of those. So you breathe out, folding your chest down in towards your knees, chin tucked in. And breathe in, straightening those legs, lengthen that spine, nice and straight. Good. Couple more of those. Breathing out, fold down. Breathe in, pressing those legs a little bit straighter, trying to get the crown of your head to the wall in front of you. Good. And out, fold down. And in, big stretch forward. Good. Now big bend of your knees. Put your hands flat down onto the floor, fingers nice and widely spread. And then big step back into your downward dog, both feet. Good. So you're in that nice big triangle. You can bring your feet hip distance apart if you want to, find squares comfortable. And then just start to press those heels really lightly down to the floor, nice and gentle because we're not very warm yet. And then tilt your tailbone up to the ceiling. So imagine you're trying to point your tailbone into the sky. Good. Chin tucked in. And then just squeeze the gap between your thighs and your ribs. So you're looking at your knees. Big squeeze. Super. And then drop down onto your hands and knees. So knees come down to the floor. Sit back on your heels. Good. I'm just going to spin around so you can see me. And we're going back to the big stretches. So left hand on the floor, right hand stretching up and over, and then change sides. So just use a hand on the floor to support you as the other hand comes up and you're reaching. Imagine you're trying to reach and grab something up over the top. Super. One more on each side. Good. Hands down together. And we're just going to come up over our ankles. So cross your ankles behind you and come into a seated position. And bring the soles of your feet together. So it doesn't matter if they're really close into your hips or a little bit further away. Just go where's comfy. And then tilt forwards on your hips so you're really straight in your lower back. If you want to, you can pull in on those feet, help bring that back in a bit straighter. Good. Now just imagine sliding your shoulders all the way down into your back pockets. Bring the crown of your head all the way up to the top. Super. And big deep breath here. And then using your elbows, just lean forwards, push those elbows down on the inside of your legs. If it's too far to reach like that, you can just rest your palms of your hands on the inside of your knees. Good. Just stretching through the insides of those legs. Super. And as that stretch starts to ease, take your hands off, put your hands palms down in front of you. Bend your elbows, chin tucked in, and just fold forwards. You should feel a stretch through the inside of your legs and through your glutes on the outside. So we're not trying to force this stretch, we're just using our body weight folded forwards. Super. And use your hands just to sit yourself back up. Good. Right hand over your right knee, so it's next to your side. Left hand on the other side of that right knee. We're going to lift our left leg up and then push it straight. So your right knee stays about the same place. And then bring your hips over so that they're parallel with the mat. We're stretching our right glute this time. Lovely. I can't quite see everybody, but your left ankle should be tucked underneath. Sorry, your right ankle should be tucked under your left hip. Good stuff. If that stretch feels good, you've got two options. You can come up to your fingertips and sit up nice and straight, lifting up tall to the sky. Or you can move your hands forwards and drop down onto your elbows. Forehead comes down towards the floor. So there are your two options. Choose which one feels good. Have a play with both. You can hold in each if you prefer. So if you're up nice and high, stretching a little bit more through that hip flexor on your left leg. And if you're down towards the floor, you're stretching more through your glute. Good, just hold it there for one more second. Lovely, and then come back up. We're going to twist back, so pull your hips round, bring that left leg back in to meet your right foot. Feet back down, good. Nice and tall, elbows on those legs. And just see if you can just push down a little bit further this time. Now we're starting to feel a bit warmer. Either with your elbows or with your hands. Super. Good. And then left hand comes down onto your left side, right hand up over the top, leaving that left leg on the floor, and you're straightening out that right leg. And then just up, lifting those hips, turning around, parallel with the mat. Good. You might find one side feels a lot easier than the other. Oh, looks really good, well done. And then if you want to, prop yourself up on those fingers, straighten your arms. Or you can drop down onto your elbows. So whichever one feels best, whichever one you feel like you need the most stretch through. So do have a play with both. Really good. A couple more breaths here. Lovely. And then come back down onto your hips. Spinning back to the side. Bring that right foot back in again. Meet your left. One more push down with our elbows. Good. And really be tall with the back of your head. So you're trying to reach the back of your head up to the ceiling. You should feel your spine come nice and straight with that. Super. And then just cross your legs under and up over the top onto your knees. And up nice and straight, and we're going back to our big stretches up to the ceiling, one and then the other. Good. And this time bring your left hand down to the floor. Extend that right leg all the way out to the edge of the mat, stretching your right arm up and over. You're in a nice straight line. Good. You're reaching this top arm up towards the wall beside you. Good. Hold it there. Just see if you can push your hips forwards a little bit. Perfect. And then windmill back over the top. Tuck your right leg in. Good. Keep windmilling so your right hand comes down to the floor. Bring that left leg out nice and straight, balancing on your toe. Left arm up over the top, reaching to that wall. Good. And push those hips forwards. Lovely. And that should feel like a nice stretch all the way across the side of your body. Lovely. Bring that left hand down to the floor to meet your right hand. So you're twisting. Shuffle your right hand across and into a plank position. Good. And come all the way down to the floor. Lower your whole body down. Once you touch the floor, unhook your toes and lift your chest. Only a half lift. So we're not straightening our arms. We're staying nice and low, chin up. So you're just about off to the bottom of your rib cage. Super. And then breathe out. Forehead comes down to the floor. This time, big lift up all the way to the top. Straighten those arms, pushing that chest away. Super. And press through your hands, lifting your hips up onto your thighs. Good. All the way up over the top. Hips come down to your ankles, leaving those hands in front of you. Forehead down to the floor, stretching through those shoulders. Really nice. You can widen your knees if you want to. Good. And pressing back into the floor, all the way up onto your hands and knees. Shuffle your knees in a little bit closer if you need to. Tuck your chin under and into your cat-cow. Pushing the floor away. Arching through your back, widen the space between those shoulder blades at the back. Chin to chest, and bring those elbows in towards your elbows. And then flex back through the other way. Tailbone up to the ceiling. Shoulder blades tucked all the way down your back, chin up. Good. Couple more of those. Good. On the next cow, look over your shoulder towards your toes, so you're twisting, looking behind you. Come back to the middle and over to the other side. Good. Really squeezing that gap between your hip and your shoulder each side. And then into your cat. Looking underneath your arm towards your toes this time, side to side. Good. And come to a rest in the middle. Big toes together. We're going to sit back onto our heels, pushing those arms forwards. Nice big stretch through our arms. Lovely. Just see if you can push your upper arms, your armpits down in towards the floor. Good. Then pressing through your hands, lifting your hips up and over, bringing them back down towards your wrists for that back arch. Good. Big deep breath here. Relax into this stretch. Try not to fight it. And pushing through the hands, hips come up and over, back to our heels. Forehead down towards the floor. Good. We've got one more of these. Super. Press back through the floor, up and over the top, hips to wrists. Last one. If you want to on this one, you can look over one shoulder and then the other, or you can stay in a nice straight line. So just do what feels good. Super. Last time, pressing back through the floor. Up and over. Toes together and sit back onto those heels. And this time we're going to walk our hands across to one side. Feel the stretch along the side. Once you get there, rest back down towards the floor. Good. Couple of big deep breaths here. And then walk those hands back to the middle and all the way across the other side. Stretching, big reach through. Good. Super. Walk those hands back into the middle. Press through the floor, come up and over. Hook your toes under and lift back up into that plank position. Good, and lift those hips up into your downward dog. Lovely. Just shuffle your toes in if you need to, pressing those heels down towards the floor. Good, and then start to pedal through your feet, lifting one heel and then the other. You're bending one leg, stretching through the back of the other leg. Super. You should be looking at your knees so your chin's tucked under. Good, and come to a stop. Lift your chin, big step forward with that right foot in between your hands. And drop that back knee down towards the floor. Unhook your toes and use that front leg just to prop yourself up on. Good. And then lean forward into your front leg, feeling the stretch through your hips. Good. If you're comfy there, you can lift one arm and then the other, reaching up towards the sky, looking up towards your fingertips. Super. Just make sure that you're in this position and then you've pushed forward into that front leg. Super. Big deep breath here, looking up towards those fingers. Really feel that stretch. And then both hands come down to the floor. One hand at either side of your foot. Leave your left hand on the floor, right hand comes up. Fingertips to ceiling, twisting your left shoulder in towards your right knee. Good, looking up to the sky. Super. Bring that right hand back down onto the inside of that right leg. Roll your right foot out onto its outer edge, bringing that knee wide. And if you want to, if you're comfortable, you can drop down onto your elbows here. Good. If you're not comfy, you can stay up nice and high on your hands. One more big deep breath. Good. Roll that foot back into a neutral position. Right hand comes up over the top, so you've got one hand on each side of your foot now. And slowly straighten that front leg, moving your hips back over your knee at the back. Walk your hands back. Once that leg gets straight, toes up to the ceiling. So nice big stretch along your hamstring and your calf. It's up to you what position your upper body is here. You can come, if it's too much on your hamstring, you can come all the way up to the top. If you want a bigger stretch, fold forwards over that front leg. So choose whereabouts your stretch is feeling today. Good. And start to bend that front knee, walking those hands forwards. Curl that back toe under and lift up into that low lunge, knee off the floor. Good. Tuck that chin under, lift your hips, big step back into downward dog. And pedal back through again, stretching through your calves and your hamstrings. And then if you want to, you can start to add a little bit of a hip wiggle as your knee drops. Drop your hips with it, side to side. Good. Come to a stop. And big step forward with that left foot in between those hands. Good. Drop down into your lunge, knee comes to the floor, unhook your toes. Good, and then prop yourself up on that front leg. Use your arms to lift yourself up on your knee. Super. Just make sure that if you're here, you're then moving forwards into that lunge. Good, arms up to the sky. Fingertips to the ceiling, looking up. Good. Couple of big deep breaths here. Lovely. Bring those hands down to the floor. One hand at either side of your foot. Leave your right hand there. Left hand comes up to the ceiling, twisting your right shoulder in towards your left knee. Good. Looking up towards the sky. Lovely. Hold it there. And left hand down onto the inside of your left foot. So both hands are on the same side. Roll your left foot out onto its outer edge. Knee comes nice and wide. Super. And if you want to, you can drop down onto your elbows or stay high. So entirely up to you, whichever one feels good. Couple of big deep breaths there. Lovely. Bring that foot back onto its neutral position. Left hand comes up and over, so you've got one hand at either side of your foot again. Lovely. And then push that front leg straight, nice and slowly, walking your hands back. Toes up to the ceiling on that front leg. And then again, if you want to, you can stay folded forwards or push a little bit further or come all the way up to an upright position, depending on how far you want to stretch that hamstring. Big deep breath, relax down into that stretch. Super. Walk those hands slowly back forward, bending your front knee till your hands come level with your foot. Go back to under, lift your back knee up off of the floor. Super. Big step back into downward dog and shuffle through. Lifting one heel up and then the other. Super. This time we're going to take a big step forward with our right foot in between our hands. Good. Bring your right hand on the inside of your right foot and spin round so you're now facing the front, the long edge of your mat. So you're in a nice low lunge. Good. So your hips are facing the side as well. Perfect. And then push down through the floor, straightening your leg, walking your hands to the middle, and then walk your hands all the way across to the other side. Bring your hips down towards your ankle on the left side this time. Super. You should feel the stretch all the way along the inside of that right leg. Good. And hold it there. And pressing back through the floor, walk all the way across to the other side, one more on each side. Lowering your hips down towards the ankle. Good. And pressing back through the floor all the way to the other side. Super. And lift your hips, press through the floor, walk your hands until you come to the middle. Small bend in your knees, tuck your chin under and just fold forwards. So you're just hanging from your hips. You're tilting your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Good. Soft bend in your knees. Lovely. And whilst you're here, bring your hands wide to your feet. Grab hold of your big toes. Good. And then pull up on your big toe. So your arms are bent. And then just lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling so your spine's nice and long. So you're pushing your hips back, pulling your toes up, drawing your shoulder blades down your back, making your spine nice and long. Perfect. You should feel that in your hamstrings, and your back should feel really nice and straight. Good. Relax off of those big toes. And then just fold back forwards, softening your spine, making yourself nice and round, tucking your chin under. Super. And place your hands flat onto the floor, nice wide fingers. And then we're just going to rock from one side and then the other. So you're straightening one leg, a bit like how we do in downward dog. Bending one leg, straightening the other, moving from side to side. So you should very gently be feeling the stretch through each leg. Nice. Make sure you're still pushing your hips back towards the wall behind you. Your tailbone is lifted up towards the sky. Super. And then come to a still position, resting position in the middle. Bend your knees. Bring your hands up onto your hips. Lift your shoulders. Lift your chest into a nice low squat. Super. Just take a minute here because we've been upside down for a little bit. Good. Push those hips back. Wide knees. We're going to bring our left shoulder down towards our right knee. Pushing your hips backwards. Come all the way back up to the top and down to the other side. Good. A couple of these on each side. And back up to the middle. And we're going to spin around on our feet, bring both feet together. Big stretch up to the ceiling and then back to where we started, reaching one and then the other. Big stretches like right from the beginning. Good, one more on each side. And both hands up to the ceiling, bring them wide down to your hips. As they come to your hips, bend your knees, fold forward, fingertips down towards the floor. Good, rest your hands on the floor, bent knees. A big deep breath, folding forwards over your thighs, chin tucked in. Breathing in, straightening those legs, lifting to your fingertips. Bringing the crown of your head towards the wall in front of you. And breathing out, folding back forwards again. Super, one more of each. And then as you breathe out, folding forward over your knees, just stay in that position just for a second or two. Good. Then on your next breath in, lift all the way up to standing. Rolling your body all the way up to the top. Roll your shoulders, bring your shoulder blades back down. Super, and we're all finished.